What is going on, traders? It's May 26th, and today I'm going to go over my trade I took today, making $1,654. Overall, it was a really good trade. Normally, I trade the S&P 500, so I watch ES, the E mini series futures that tracks the S&P 500, and normally I trade supply and demand. That's my bread and butter. That's my main strategy I use. But today was different. Today I actually took a breakout trade out of a big triangle that has been accumulating for the past month and a half that I spotted last night. So I'm going to go over this loss I took on Wednesday because it's going to make today's winning trade make a lot more sense. So normally I like to play supply turn demand or demand turn supply and fade the market either to the downside when the market can't hold demand, or look for a rallying continuation to the upside when the market can't hold supply. So that's what I was looking for yesterday, and I went long here, got in calls, and got flushed out. And as you can see, it actually happened again later on in the day. Now, it wasn't so much that this was a bad setup. It was just I didn't take the proper steps to overall zoom out and see the whole market as a whole and see where the market was. Now, if I were to zoom out of this trade and realize that we're at the high of this triangle or the top of this channel, then I probably wouldn't have had a losing trade. Okay, so it brings me to my first note. When in doubt, zoom out. So I'm going to show you guys right now. Normally, I'm just looking intraday. If we are to zoom out here, we've been consolidating in this channel that formed over a month and a half, and I didn't realize we were at the top of this channel. Now, if I zoomed out and saw this, I don't think I would have had a losing trade on Wednesday. Higher time frames are more powerful than lower time frames. The more videos I watch on supply and demand, the more I realize that the higher time frames are way more powerful. So this is the hour chart, and as you can see, we had this supply zone that formed, and I was looking for a breakout of this triangle, touch supply, and then flush. And that's exactly the trade I took, and it worked out beautifully. Now, does this always work? No. But I'm going to tell you, for a channel that's been accumulating over 1 month, looking at that on the daily, looking at that on the hourly, continuation is going to be very probable. But if you're just looking at intraday like I was, you're going to have no idea where we are. This push isn't even going to make sense to you, right? If you don't see this triangle, this is just very bullish action to you. So it's very important, when in doubt, zoom out. I got long at the break of this consolidation right here. Normally, sometimes I'll wait for it to retest the triangle again and then keep going, but I took one leg and it didn't show any signs of slowing down, so I added to my position after the break of the first 30-minute candle. Took my profits at the supply zone exactly where I said I was, at 40.65, locked in $1,654. I'll show you guys right here. So $1,654. Overall, very good trade. And I'm going to go over my last note. If there's stacked zones, wait for all of them to be tested. So this is actually a really important point I want to bring up, because let me show you guys something. Let me go to the 30-minute here. So if there is stacked zones, wait for all of them to be tested. So what do I mean by that? I'm going to show you guys an example. So you could say from the sell-off we had on last Wednesday, you could say right here is a supply zone. You could also even say right here is a supply zone. And let me just make these red for you guys so it's not too confusing. But you could say that these are supply zones from Wednesday's sell-off. Now, when there's stacked zones here, and you see a lot of zones, it can confuse you and make you question your trades, because if it busts through this supply zone, is it going to react at this supply zone? Or what happens if we're in this supply zone and reacts at this one, busts through it again, then tries to test this one, it works one time, and then busts through it. Are you sure this one's going to work? And this is all for intraday. So when there's stacked zones like this, you're not quite sure which zone is going to have the bigger reaction, which zone is going to provide a bigger reaction for the market. You're never going to be sure if you have stacked zones like this. So the rule of thumb here is wait for the last zone to be tested. So if there's supply zones, wait for the top zone to be tested. If it's stacked demand zones, wait for the bottom demand zone to be tested before you have any entries or exits. So that's why when I went long here at the break of this channel, I wanted to take profits at the highest supply zone, because I knew we had stacked zones, but that didn't scare me, because I knew that the market would probably want to test the highest supply zone and bust through these. And especially looking at the market on a daily time frame, I mean, come on. This is obviously extremely bullish, very bullish chart. So when I was looking at this daily chart trading as well, it made sense that we would bust all the way to this supply zone, looking back on the 18th from the supply zone that it made on the 18th. I knew that today would be very likely we tested that level and ripped through these. So a couple things I want to go over real quick again. When in doubt, zoom out, go to the higher time frames. Smart money is looking at higher time frames, and it will look more clear to you with zones. Wait for daily supply and demand setups. Wait for hourly supply and demand setups. You don't always have to be trading intraday, and sometimes it can get confusing just looking at intraday action. So when in doubt, zoom out. And lastly, if there's stacked zones, wait for the last zone in that stack to be tested. Other than that, just another great trade today. Took the break out of this channel, locked in some great profits, and hope to have another great day tomorrow. Alright everyone, like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.